Hello, it's some dust or something. I'm here today at Tyrant's Gorge with Fishy, my adult Suchomimus, because I wanted to make a video on the Suchomimus. This is a really cool dinosaur. It's one that I think gets overshadowed a lot, specifically because of how popular aloes are. A lot in this video you're going to hear me compare Fishy here to aloes, and that's because they have really similar stats and really similar builds, and the niche they fill as well. But I think the Sucho is actually a little better. That's a statement I've made in the past that I'm going to stand by, and I'll get into that in just a little bit. But to start off, you are a carnivorous semi-aquatic, which means that you can swim, you can dive, and you can regain stamina while in the water as long as you're not sprinting. And you start off with Fisher being your metabolism, which means you can eat meat and fish with a moderate food drain. If you do eventually want to upgrade to hypercarnivore for that less food drain at the expense of not being able to eat fish, you can do that as well. On my toolbar here, you can see I'm running a bite. Oh, sorry, I was on the wrong screen. I'm running a bite, tail whip, and a claw attack. Just like the aloe. That claw attack does cause bleed. The differences between them come down to the stats. They both have 700 HP, which is pretty good. The difference being that Sucho here has 1,000 more weight. And if you don't know how combat weight works, essentially anything that weighs less than you takes more damage from you, and when they attack you, they do less. So you have 1,000 more weight than the aloe, which is pretty big. So whenever you are fighting one, you are at an advantage. You also have 50 more stamina at the cost of a little bit of speed. So you are tankier than the aloe, you have more stamina than the aloe. The only things you're trading off are essentially the speed. And of course, as a semi-aquatic, you can go into the water, swim around, you can regain stamina and health by ducking into the water. If there's something on land that you don't want to fight, you can always just do what I'm doing right now. And if there's something in the water you don't want to fight, you can just go on land. You have enough stamina that you should be okay. I think this thing's actually a pretty good ambush predator in the same league as like Sarco. As you can see, my oxygen really isn't draining that fast, which means you can stay under for a long time and wait for something to come by. And unlike the Sarco, you're actually pretty good on land as well. You're pretty formidable. You can run for a fair bit, you're fairly fast, so you can keep up with things. So if that's the niche you want to fill, you can do that as well. Honestly, against a lot of mid-tiers, I think you're just fine. I've fought things like Albertas and noticed that they do so much less damage to me simply because of the weight, while I do so much more than them. So there's a lot of good to talk about with the Suchomimus. I think this thing is really good, and like I said, criminally underrated. Let's see if I missed anything in abilities here. You've only got the bite, the claw attack, and the tail. As I already mentioned, you start with Fisher, you can spec into hypercarnivore, and for hide, your options are standard, lightweight, and streamlined. I think standard serves it just fine. You're not really going to be the king of aquatics, even if you're running streamlined, and you're not going to be the fastest thing on land if you sacrifice some of your bulk for that extra speed. So I think standard works just fine for this guy. Let's get into the calls and animations, starting with our broadcast. Then you've got your heart call, your aggro, your alert, your low call, and for animations you have the shake it off. You also have a stretch, a look around, and a scratch. So you have a few extra animations that some other playables don't get. I'm actually going to go into the water before I talk about the skins because there is a Rex nearby that sounds pretty feisty and I don't want to deal with that while I'm doing a showcase, so let's go into the skins here. Here's your default, your Crido, Redback, Redneck, Backer, Yellow Belly, Storm, Rippled, Milkshake, Snakehead, Redtail, Albino, and Melanistic. This is a really good sub-apex. I like this thing. I love that it's semi-aquatic. I don't think I've mentioned it in any of my videos, but I used to main Sarco. Long time ago, when I first started this game, I mained Sarco for a little bit. I like being an ambush predator. I like being a semi-aquatic. And this thing does all of that while also being a really good terrestrial dino. It matches up well against any of the mid-tiers. I believe if you're really good, you have a shot at apexes, you know. Of course, you're at a disadvantage, but the stat total's there. You've got the weight, you've got okay health, you've got okay stamina. You know, like I said, compared to Aloe, just at the cost of some speed. So, this is a fantastic playable, one that I definitely think you should consider. But I think that about does it for the Suchomimus. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.